What if I told you that for over 2,000 years, billions of people have been reciting a prayer without understanding its true power? What if the Lord's Prayer isn't what you think it is? And what if one man, Edgar Cayce, the most documented psychic in history, discovered the shocking truth that religious institutions tried to bury? Stay with me, because what you're about to learn will shatter everything you thought you knew about prayer, consciousness, and reality itself. There is a prayer so familiar, so deeply embedded into the collective memory of humanity that most people recite it without ever questioning its meaning. It begins with, "Our Father, who art in heaven," and continues with phrases that seem simple, sacred, and comforting. But according to Edgar Cayce, behind its surface lies an ancient code. A mystical teaching not meant for Sunday morning rituals, but for those ready to unlock the secrets of consciousness itself. Edgar Cayce said this prayer is more than words. It's a spiritual formula. An invocation that aligns the soul with the cosmic laws of the universe. But here's what they don't want you to know: the version you've been taught has been deliberately altered, watered down, mistranslated through layers of institutional control. According to Edgar Cayce, in his famous trance readings, the original Aramaic language that Jesus actually spoke carries entirely different meanings. It's not just a request to a distant god in the sky. Edgar Cayce discovered it's a roadmap to awakening, to harmonizing the body, mind, and spirit with divine will. Hidden within the cadence of its words, Cayce revealed, lies the rhythm of creation itself. To understand what Jesus truly meant, we must journey beyond translation, beyond tradition, and enter what Edgar Cayce called the sacred science of the word. This is not theology. This is transformation. And what Edgar Cayce uncovered might change how you see reality forever. But before we dive deep, you need to understand who Edgar Cayce was and why his discovery was so dangerous. Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, was perhaps the most documented psychic in modern history. Between 1901 and 1945, he conducted over 14,000 trance readings, and every single one was recorded, transcribed, and archived. But what most people don't know is that some of his most profound revelations were about the Lord's Prayer. According to Edgar Cayce, during his deep trance states, he accessed what he called the Akashic Records, a cosmic library of all knowledge, past, present, and future. And in these readings, Cayce discovered something that would shake the foundations of Christianity: the Lord's Prayer, as taught in churches, had lost its original power. Edgar Cayce said that when Jesus taught this prayer, he wasn't establishing a religious ritual. He was transmitting a vibrational code, a frequency designed to activate dormant spiritual abilities within the human consciousness. But there was a problem. The prayer had been translated from Aramaic to Greek, then to Latin, then to English, and with each translation, the mystical essence was stripped away. Edgar Cayce revealed that the Aramaic language itself is a sacred tongue, where each word carries multiple layers of meaning, each syllable vibrates with cosmic significance. When Jesus spoke in Aramaic, he wasn't just communicating ideas. He was embedding energy patterns into sound. In reading 281-13, Edgar Cayce stated that prayer is not about asking for things from an external deity. Prayer, Cayce discovered, is about alignment. It's about tuning the human frequency to match the divine frequency. And the Lord's Prayer, properly understood in its original Aramaic form, is the master tuning fork. But here's where it gets even more interesting, and why this knowledge was suppressed. Edgar Cayce taught that this prayer doesn't require a priest, a church, or an institution. It requires only consciousness, awareness, intention. This made his teachings dangerous to the religious establishment. According to Edgar Cayce, every line of the Lord's Prayer corresponds to a specific energy center in the body, what Eastern traditions call chakras. Every phrase activates a different level of consciousness. Every word, when properly understood and vibrated, creates a cascade of spiritual transformation. And now, for the first time, you're going to learn exactly what Edgar Cayce discovered about each line of this sacred prayer. Starting with the very first words, which aren't what you think they are. Our Father, who art in heaven. You've heard these words 1,000 times. But Edgar Cayce said you've been misunderstanding them from the very beginning. In his readings, Cayce revealed that the original Aramaic phrase is, Abwun dibwash mea, and this is not a simple address to a father figure in the clouds. According to Edgar Cayce, this is a vibrational invocation, a sonic key that unlocks the door to higher consciousness. Edgar Cayce discovered that, Abwun, doesn't just mean, father. It's a composite word that contains both masculine and feminine principles, pointing not to a male deity but to the source of all life. Cayce said it means, the creative breath, the sacred vibration, the intelligent force behind all forms. And, dibwash mea? Edgar Cayce taught that this doesn't refer to a physical location called heaven. According to Cayce, it means, the dimension of vibration, the field of subtle energy from which all physical reality emanates. It's not a place up there. It's a frequency right here. So when you say, Our Father, who art in heaven, Edgar Cayce revealed you're actually saying, O cosmic breath, O divine vibration that exists in the realm of pure energy. Do you see the difference? This isn't external worship. Edgar Cayce said this is inner alignment. It's not about supplication. According to Cayce, it's about resonance. In reading 281-29, Edgar Cayce stated that when you speak these words with true understanding, you're not calling out to something separate from yourself. You're awakening to the divine presence that already dwells within you. You're tuning your personal frequency to match the universal frequency. Edgar Cayce discovered that Jesus wasn't teaching people to pray to God. He was teaching them to recognize that they are expressions of God. The kingdom is within, Cayce said, and this prayer is the key to unlocking it. But this was just the surface. Wait until you hear what Edgar Cayce revealed about the next line. This is where the activation truly begins, and where most people completely miss the point. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. To most people, these words sound like a hopeful wish. A plea for God to fix the world someday. But Edgar Cayce said this interpretation misses the entire point. According to Edgar Cayce, the Aramaic phrase, Tadi Makathak, doesn't mean, bring your kingdom. Edgar Cayce discovered it means, let your kingdom arise within us. Not descending from the sky. Not coming in the future. Arising now. Inside. In this very moment. In reading 262-27, Edgar Cayce stated that, the kingdom of heaven is within you, not somewhere else. It's not a destination. It's a realization. It's a state of consciousness. And this line of the prayer, Cayce revealed, is the trigger for that realization. Edgar Cayce taught that, Makathak, doesn't refer to a monarchy or a political kingdom. According to Cayce, it means, the realization of divine order, the harmony of the soul with universal flow. It's the moment when your personal will stops fighting against life and merges with the cosmic pattern. And then comes, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Edgar Cayce said this is one of the most misunderstood lines in the entire prayer. People think it means, submit to God's will, even if you don't like it. But Cayce discovered something radically different. According to Edgar Cayce, this line teaches the law of correspondence, as above, so below. The same laws that govern the higher realms also shape the material plane. The spiritual and the physical are not separate, Cayce taught. They are mirrors. Edgar Cayce revealed that when you say, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, you're not surrendering to external authority. You're declaring your intention to bring the perfection of the higher realms into your physical reality. You're claiming your power as a co-creator. In reading 3976-29, Edgar Cayce stated, you are not a servant begging at the door. You are a son, a daughter, an heir to the kingdom. Act like it. But wait. The next line is where Edgar Cayce's teachings become even more profound, and where modern religion completely lost the plot. Give us this day our daily bread. Simple, right? You're asking God for food. For provision. For survival. But Edgar Cayce said if that's what you think this line means, you're missing the deepest secret of the entire prayer. According to Edgar Cayce, the Aramaic phrase, Hovlan lakma disun kanan yamana, contains layers of meaning that have nothing to do with physical food. Edgar Cayce discovered that lakma can mean bread, yes, but it also means understanding, wisdom, vitality, life force. In his readings, Edgar Cayce taught that Jesus wasn't instructing people to beg for groceries. He was inviting them to open themselves daily to divine nourishment, to receive the energy of the source, the living frequency that flows into those who are consciously aligned. Edgar Cayce said this daily bread is what ancient traditions called manna, what Eastern mystics call prana, what Cayce himself referred to as the life force energy. It's not something you eat. According to Edgar Cayce, it's something you absorb, channel, and embody. In reading 281-13, Edgar Cayce stated, "Man does not live by bread alone, but by every vibration that flows from the source." This line of the prayer, Cayce revealed, is a daily reminder to consciously receive spiritual energy, to stay open to the flow of divine intelligence. Edgar Cayce discovered that most people are spiritually starving, not because God is withholding nourishment, but because they've forgotten how to receive it. They're so focused on the material, on the physical, on the survival level, that they've closed themselves off to the higher frequencies. According to Edgar Cayce, when you say, "Give us this day our daily bread," with true understanding, you're not asking for provision. You're opening yourself to infinite supply. You're declaring your willingness to receive not just physical sustenance but spiritual wisdom, emotional clarity, and energetic vitality. But here's what Edgar Cayce said next, and this is where his teachings became truly revolutionary, where they challenged everything the Church had taught for centuries. "Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us." You've been taught this is about sin and redemption. About being a good person. About earning God's forgiveness through moral behavior. But Edgar Cayce revealed something that changes everything. According to Edgar Cayce, the Aramaic phrase, washbaklan kabain, waktahain, ikana daf knansh woken el kayabain, doesn't use the word sin at all. Edgar Cayce discovered that the word is kabain, which means debts, errors, missed targets. In reading 262-13, Edgar Cayce stated that Jesus reframed what religion calls sin as simply misalignment. You're not evil. You're not broken. According to Edgar Cayce, you're just out of tune. You've missed the mark. You've deviated from the flow. And forgiveness? Edgar Cayce taught that forgiveness is not about moral absolution. It's about energy release. According to Cayce, when you hold on to resentment, anger, or blame, you create energetic blockages in your body and consciousness. These blockages, Cayce said, disrupt the flow of life force. Edgar Cayce discovered that this line of the prayer contains a cosmic law: as we forgive, we are forgiven. Not as a transaction, but as a principle of resonance. According to Edgar Cayce, what you release releases you. What you hold on to holds you. In his readings, Edgar Cayce revealed that forgiveness is a selfish act, in the highest sense. You don't forgive for the other person's benefit. Edgar Cayce said you forgive to free yourself, to restore your own energy flow, to re-enter the current of divine order. And notice the structure: as we forgive those who trespass against us. Edgar Cayce taught that the prayer doesn't ask for forgiveness first. It makes forgiveness conditional on your willingness to forgive others. Why? Because according to Edgar Cayce, you cannot receive what you refuse to give. The universe is a mirror. Edgar Cayce said, holding unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's spiritual suicide. And this line of the prayer is the antidote. But the next line, according to Edgar Cayce, might be the most misunderstood of all. And what he revealed about it will shock you. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For centuries, this line has confused believers. Why would God lead us into temptation? Is this prayer asking God not to test us? Not to tempt us? But Edgar Cayce said this interpretation completely misses the true meaning. According to Edgar Cayce, the Aramaic phrase, well atalan el nesiyuna, doesn't suggest that God might lead you into moral failure. Edgar Cayce discovered that nesiyuna doesn't mean temptation in the way we think of it. According to Cayce, it means the trials of life, the illusions, the distractions that pull us away from center. In reading 262-27, Edgar Cayce revealed that, well atalan actually means, do not let us enter into forgetfulness. Forgetfulness of what? Edgar Cayce said, forgetfulness of who we truly are. Forgetfulness of our divine origin. Forgetfulness of our sacred purpose. Edgar Cayce taught that Jesus wasn't suggesting God might tempt us. He was praying that we remain awake. That we not fall asleep in the dream of separation. According to Edgar Cayce, the greatest danger facing humanity is not evil, but unconsciousness. And, deliver us from evil. Edgar Cayce said the word bisha is better understood as chaotic energy, discord, or inner distortion. It's not a red-horned figure lurking in shadows. According to Edgar Cayce, it's the fragmentation within ourselves that occurs when we are out of resonance with divine flow. Edgar Cayce discovered that this line is actually a plea for wholeness. For coherence. For protection against the forces that scatter the soul. In reading 281-29, Cayce stated, evil is not an external force. It's the absence of alignment. It's what happens when consciousness fragments. So the line becomes, do not let us be lost in illusion. Rescue us from disintegration. According to Edgar Cayce, this is a prayer for awakening, for staying conscious, for remaining centered in truth even when the world around us descends into chaos. And now, here's what Edgar Cayce said about how to actually use this prayer. Because knowing the words is not enough. You have to activate them. Edgar Cayce said that understanding the Lord's Prayer intellectually is meaningless if you don't know how to activate it. According to Cayce, this prayer is not meant to be rushed through at bedtime or recited mindlessly in church. Edgar Cayce discovered it's a spiritual technology, and like any technology, it must be used correctly. In reading 281-13, Edgar Cayce gave specific instructions for how to recite the Lord's Prayer for maximum spiritual effect. And what he revealed is radically different from anything you've been taught. First, Edgar Cayce said, you must enter a state of stillness. Not just physical stillness, but mental and emotional stillness. According to Cayce, if your mind is racing, if your emotions are turbulent, the prayer cannot do its work. The frequency cannot lock in. Edgar Cayce taught that before you begin the prayer, spend at least 3 minutes in silence, focusing on your breath, allowing your nervous system to settle. Attune yourself, Cayce said. Become a clear channel. Second, Edgar Cayce discovered that each line of the prayer should be spoken slowly, with intention, with feeling. According to Cayce, you're not just saying words. You're vibrating energy. You're creating a resonance between your consciousness and the cosmic consciousness. Edgar Cayce revealed that as you speak each phrase, you should feel it in your body. Our Father should be felt in the crown of your head, Cayce said. Thy kingdom come, in your heart. Give us this day, in your solar plexus. According to Edgar Cayce, this prayer is designed to activate all 7 energy centers simultaneously. Third, Edgar Cayce taught that after completing the prayer, you should sit in silence again, allowing the vibration to integrate. Don't rush off to your next activity. According to Cayce, the real work happens in the silence after the words. In reading 262-13, Edgar Cayce stated, prayer without meditation is incomplete. You speak to God in prayer. God speaks to you in meditation. The Lord's Prayer opens the channel. Silence allows the response. Edgar Cayce discovered that when done correctly, this prayer recalibrates your entire energy field. It aligns your consciousness with divine will. It opens you to guidance, healing, and transformation. But there's one more thing Edgar Cayce revealed about this prayer, and this is what the religious institutions never wanted you to know. According to Edgar Cayce, the true power of the Lord's Prayer was deliberately hidden. Not by accident. Not through innocent mistranslation, but by design. And the reason why will make you question everything you've been taught about religion. Edgar Cayce said that as institutional Christianity grew in power, the deeper truths became dangerous. Why? Because they gave power directly to the individual. According to Cayce, if people understood that they didn't need a priest to access God, didn't need a church to experience the divine, didn't need an institution to interpret sacred truth, then what power would the church have? In reading 254-87, Edgar Cayce stated, "The truth has always been available to those who seek. But it has been hidden from those who would rather be told what to believe than discover it for themselves." Edgar Cayce discovered that the mystical teachings of Jesus, the esoteric wisdom he transmitted to his closest disciples, were systematically suppressed after his death. What remained was a religion of control, of external authority, of fear-based obedience. But Edgar Cayce taught that we are now entering an age of awakening. An age where hidden truths rise again. An age where ancient prayers regain their voice, not as superstition, but as sacred science. Not as dogma, but as direct experience. According to Edgar Cayce, the Lord's Prayer, properly understood, is not about salvation after death. It's about embodied divinity in life. Jesus wasn't giving us words to recite, Cayce said. He was giving us access to the source, to the self, to the eternal now. So the next time you hear the words, Our Father, pause. According to Edgar Cayce, feel the vibration behind the phrase. Remember its origin. Speak it not to plead, but to activate. To reconnect. To realign. Edgar Cayce said, "You are not a beggar at the feet of God. You are a child of the infinite, equipped with all the power of creation itself. The Lord's Prayer is your reminder. Use it." And now you know what Edgar Cayce discovered. Now you understand what they tried to hide. But this is only the beginning. There are deeper teachings, more hidden truths that Edgar Cayce revealed in his readings. Secrets about consciousness, energy, and the nature of reality itself. If this revelation stirred something within you, if you feel the call to go deeper, then you're ready for what comes next. Edgar Cayce's lost teachings on the divine self are waiting. The question is, are you ready to remember who you truly are? The awakening has begun. Thank you so much for staying with me through this exploration. If you found value in today's discussion, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who might benefit from it. And if you'd like to go a step further in supporting this work, you can now leave a super thanks below. It's a small way to say thank you, and it truly helps keep this channel going.